because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. Welcome to Court of Connection. I am honored to have a friend on the show today, Kim Baker. She is a beautiful representation of from survival to abundance and everything in between. And I just am so excited to share your story with everybody. You are such an amazing example of what a tragedy, quote, tragic life can be, right? And turning it into something so beautiful. So thank you, Kim, for being here with me today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Kim, why don't we start by just sharing your story, whatever you feel called to share, that you think would be helpful to the listeners of this show.
Okay, perfect. So just a little bit about me. I was born as a twin. I had an older sister. So, born to a single mom because that's all I remember at a very young age, is my mom being a single mom, living on government assistance and just doing everything she possibly could to supply every need that we had. Having 3 in diapers under the age of 2 at one time, I couldn't do it. Like, there's no way. So major props to her. My grandparents helped where they could. I was raised in the Southern Baptist church. We went to church every time the doors were open, and that's my perception. That's what I remember as a child. It could be very different. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways that you can perceive that. It could be that my mom needed that much help, and that's where we went to daycare. Like, I truly, as a child, just remember being in church and hearing about this God all the time. So that's what stuck out to me. At a very young age, I remember not trusting very well people that should have been able to protect me, or what the world told me was to protect me did not. And unfortunately, that happens in a lot of families where the older generations, they do the same thing. They turn the cheek because they truly have no idea how to have a voice and confront those things that are happening. As a child growing up, I was very angry about it. I thought that I wasn't lovable enough for somebody to stand up for me. For those things that happened. And now I definitely know different, just because of the inner healing work that I did to find out what was wrong with me. So just kind of I know that's a lot in such a.
No, thank you for sharing. Yeah. So you spoke a little bit to this little girl that was not protected, right? That suffered abuse, and I'll leave that up to you to share however much you feel comfortable sharing. But being a little child and not feeling protected, and then carrying the weight of that your entire life, right? Something else that stood out to me too is this idea of generational healing, right? We are here, so many of us are here in this day and age to heal generational trauma. And something that you said stuck out to me. Our parents and their parents and their parents didn't know any better. They didn't have the tools. They didn't know how to break free from these patterns, right? So a lot of them were turning a cheek. A lot of them were shoving it under the rug. A lot of them were pretending it didn't happen, right? And we were chosen in this lifetime to come down here and break the generational trauma, the generational curse. Yeah.
It's a pretty big honor some days. And then some days I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna need you to find a different warrior because I'm not up to cover, But I think honestly, back in, and I can't speak to so much in the back, just because I know that the way that people were raised prior to when I got here on this earth is very different. The same as when my children got here, and even now, the children that are getting here now are the generations change, the decades change the way that parenting happens. The I always joke about, people were like, you should gentle parent. I'm like, my kids are thugs. Like, I cannot gentle parent them. Like, it is not going to happen. And I laugh about it now, but back when the way that I think is that, people did the best they could with what they had. And honestly, I did the best that I could with what I had, even raising my kids.
Mm.
So, um, I speak a lot on the intimacy and the transactional relationships that I had to build in order to survive.
Mm.
And that in today's society, today of who I am as a woman, I no longer use sex or my body as currency.
Mhm.
And that's huge. It took me a long time to get to that point where I was comfortable enough to go, you know what? No, you don't get that part of me. And feel like I'm good enough to not have to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah. How has your So, you and I share a similar journey of, coming to this place of love around our bodies and growing up in this society where a certain type of body, a certain type of look, is the idolized version, right? And if you don't fit within that mold, then you are not good enough. You are not desirable, right?
Right.
And so I'd love to hear kind of your journey of, what that process was like for you. Who were you back then in the body that you had then? And what does the journey look like now, being the woman that you are, who totally owns her beautiful body?
Um, back in when I was younger, like some of the things that were happening, so I chose food as my very first drug of choice. I would eat a lot to make myself gain weight. I didn't want anybody touching me. And the more food that I ate, the more I thought they would leave me alone. That did not happen. And so before I knew it, this little girl that is going into kindergarten, first grade, is already over 200 pounds and such an unhealthy person, not just on the outside, but dying on the inside because now not only was I not good enough, but I was also an embarrassment. Now, remember, that's the perception that I have as a child.
Sure.
And so that little girl ended up being a really big woman. In 2009, I started just really trying to find myself. And I had finally come to a point where I'm like, I don't want to die. So let me do something medically to try and lose some weight. So I did that. And then I got pregnant very shortly after that, after losing weight. But the mental obsession of even who I am today, there are days that I wake up and I am like, whoa, you are still 400 and something pounds. And I have to remind myself, you know what? No, you're not. That is just the goblins in your head talking. And you are a beautiful child of God, and He put you here for a reason. And that's what we're going to go with today. And so I will look in the mirror and be like, no, you're going to tell yourself that you're a beautiful human being inside and out. And we're going to go and make this day about God. And so there are days that I still very much fumble the ball. But I'm grateful that I have those days because I honestly didn't think that I would live long enough to even see that I am classy and I am confident and I am charming at times and I can be crude and whatever. I like to have fun. You can be sober and still have fun and wear cute outfits and have tattoos. Nothing about me on the outside changes about who I am on the inside. And I do, I laugh. When I go in the store, I am not everybody's cup of tea. And so you do see those people that kind of clutch their purses and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I get it. Like, look, I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I just look at it like, you pick your art out and you hang it on your wall and I wear mine. That's it. I just like to take mine as a reminder of all the things that I've been able to overcome in this life. And it's a beautiful life today. Truly, truly a beautiful life today.
Yeah, nobody really talks about how that feels to we can easily laugh it off and be like, oh yeah, people, I see looks sometimes, or I feel energy sometimes. But what does that really feel like for you in those moments, you know?
Some of those moments can be rough, and all of that, those abandonment feelings come up, and those rejection, um, the very much all alone, where it takes me back to the childhood bed where I'm laying in bed and I'm trying to blend against the wall so no one sees me. Like, it literally can send me back to those moments, and I just have to remember to tell myself, you know what, that's not, it is, they have the right to feel how they feel. Maybe someone somewhere, maybe that's a trigger for them. I don't know. So I just simply, in my mind, in my head, just go, you know what, God, bless them and change me and help me to be an example of what I don't, what just caused me to be triggered.
It's interesting because you described this child, right, who just wants to blend in, who doesn't want to be seen, who wants to feel protect. That's a form of protection, right? And then you become this vibrant, beautiful, blonde, tattooed, just loud, but in the best kinds of ways, woman, right? And it's like that young part is like, oh, are we sure we want to do this, right? But the true essence of us is like, oh no, we're shining, we're gonna take up space, right? But those young parts still come in, right? Those survival patterns still come in and tell us it's not safe to be me.
Yes.
It's not okay to be me. And I love, the relationship with God, the has been the foundational ground by which I can stand in my authenticity and in my power, right?
Same.
And I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Beautiful Minds?
I don't know. That's a standout.
So it reminds me of that movie. He ends up getting this diagnosis. He's a really smart, guy who's on his way to, he's like a scientist. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's brilliant. He works at Harvard. He gets this diagnosis of schizophrenia. And so it starts to show these parts, right? These people that he sees, right? And he has these full-on conversations with them, and he identifies these people as friend, as, all these different parts, but they're very real to him. And in the beginning of his diagnoses, they're starting to recognize, people in his life are recognizing that these people aren't real, right? He's building these relationships with these parts that are not real. And once he wakes up to that, right? Once he's confronted with that reality and he gets medicated, his wife and the professionals are telling him these people are not here, right? But he's convinced that they're real. And, in the midst of like coming to terms with that reality, that these people are not real, right? That they're just parts that, when he gives them attention, they get louder, right? They get more obnoxious. They get more confronting. But it's this journey of, and they do it in such a beautiful way, of him not denying those parts, right? Once he comes to terms with this is his delusion, right? He doesn't deny them. He allows them to be there, but he's not making them the focal point of who he is, right?
Wow.
And the parts start to quiet, right? And I remember the first time that I saw that movie, and it was so profound to me because that represents those parts of us, right? The judger, the little girl, you name it, right? All these different parts that come up that try to protect us, right? When we feed into them, they grow, they get bigger, they get louder, they become the identity, they swallow me up sometimes, right?
Right.
But if I can learn to have this like sweet relationship where it's like, I'm not denying you, right? I'm not saying you're not there, but I'm also not saying you're me, right?
Right.
So how do we have this relationship where you can just exist over here and I can, give you attention when you need it, let you know I hear you, I see you, I know you're here to protect me. And
Right.
also you're not Danielle, you're not Kim. And so that's just what came up for me when you were talking about learning how to navigate in spaces where it's like, oh, it's not safe to be seen, but you can quiet that, right? I can go back to my creator. I can go back to God and be like, this isn't about me, right?
Right.
I see that you're here parts. I know that you're trying to protect me, and I'm choosing me, right? I'm choosing to ground and root in me anyway.
One of the ways that I ended up coming to find me is the first time that I remember not feeling protected.
Mm.
Ugh, and I'm trying not to cry, but it is what it is.
We
Uh,
cry here,
I
Vicky.
I always say, I don't like to cry. That is such a lie. Like
Such a lie.
I'm just an ugly crier. So I'm all like, ah.
I don't
The
even think
first
that's
time, the first time that I remember not feeling protected, one of the women that I really trusted as a spiritual advisor said, I want you to go and stand in that moment where you just completely disappeared. And I want you to just know that your God, the one that you have today, what does that look like? How did he show up? And how do we change that dynamic? Um, and so in those very moments, like you're talking about in the movie, I can acknowledge, what, that is my delusional thinking talking. That girl's just trying to protect you. And I'm going to acknowledge, thank you for the protection today. Because for a really long time, I felt like no one protected me. So when I acknowledged the protections there, um, it's like, you know what? That protection's opening the gate and allowing me to go in, and I'm going to fight this with all the tools that I have now today versus, I didn't have any tools growing up. Or I didn't feel like I had any tools growing up. And that was my journey. That's why I'm here today, is for me to go and have these tools in the toolbox and the tool belt and all of these things. So when there is another woman that comes along and goes, man, I am just struggling, I can go, you know what? I've been there. I can help you. And instead of trying to pull her out of the hole, crawling down in the hole and sitting there, and even if it's just being quiet and allowing someone to sit there and sob, that is the most healing part of what we're here to do. We're a spiritual being having a human experience. And I used to feel very differently about that. I was very angry that I was even on this earth for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. It's beautiful, girl. I would love for you to share your journey of finding this presence, I imagine growing up in church and having this idea of what God is, and then getting to come home to this beautiful, loving, gracious, protector. What did that journey look like?
Um, I did not have this relationship with God growing up. I had my grandmother's God, my mom's God, and the ones that they told me who he was. He was very much a you're gonna do right, or if something's not going right in your life, you're not doing something right. And so I was very much scared of the God that was presented before me. Now, once again, that's perception. However, the way that I interpreted that was, if I am not doing everything right by the book, that God didn't love me anymore. And so, I was the normal kid. I don't want to say normal because I was very abnormal when it came to my drinking and drugging and all the things that I chose to do because I didn't know how to show up for myself. It was just easier to escape reality than it was to face it. And so just going out and doing really ridiculous things. By the time 2014 got here, when my mom passed away, I was very angry at God. Very, very angry at God. How dare you take someone that cared about me, you know? I got really stupid for about 6 weeks. Very, very irresponsibly stupid. And even though I'm divorced now, I am very grateful to my husband at that time. He took care of our son. He made sure that I was taken care of, even though we were already starting to unravel. And I'm sure a lot of my non-awareness at that time was part of it. And so in 2014, I decided to, in March 26th of 14, I decided to do something different. I showed up for myself. And I decided to just beg God to give me one more opportunity. And I started seeking out who is God to me. And, the God I have today, I have found through lots of support meetings. I have found through women that walk the same path that I do, mentors and spiritual advisors in lots of many different rooms and conferences and self-help and all of those things. The God that I have today loves me unconditionally. I can't outrun his grace, even though I try. And there are days that I'm just like, look the other way, God, I am about to make a mess. And he's still there. Like, I turn around and he's like, oh, thank God, you're finally going to let loose of that. I finally can take it over. It was very messy, very, very messy from about 2012 to 2014. I had a lot of medical stuff going on in my life and a lot of just internal mess. And so, as you know, like the snowball rolls. And so rolling and continuing to throw more stuff on the fire and the fire and the fire. And then when my mom passed away, it was just enough for me to be like, you know what? I don't want to live anymore. And I don't care what that looks like. And I don't care who I hurt. And I really did not realize the amount of hurt that I was causing. Because in my mind, before I did the internal work that I have, I'm not stealing from anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. And one of my spiritual advisors said, you stole their time. You stole their peace of mind. You stole their energy. You sucked the life out of these people because they were so worried about you. And that right there, when I say humbled me, just like, wow, what a butthole I was, because now I can walk in rooms and I can stay in rooms that I would have walked out of before. And I just slowly ask God to put a hedge of protection around me and allow me to show up to the best of my ability and help me set aside everything I think I know about the situation.
Yeah.
Now I know people probably did the same thing when I walked in. Because I was a tornado. I know that I'm a very big presence and even more bigger presence now because I was still trying to fit in then. But I'm super grateful for each and every little piece of my life. I wouldn't go back and change things. Even the abuse that happened, even the things that happened that probably had I not been drinking wouldn't have happened. I now take that experience and I am able to share it with someone else that may not be able to hear anybody else. There were women in lots of rooms that I was in that I could not hear them until I could.
Yeah. There's this transition that happens where, because you spoke to the energy of this victimhood, right? There's this part when we're going through all these big, heavy things and we're shaking our fists and we're like, why is this happening? Whether it's, I've gotten sober and now I'm dealing with this, or it's, pre-sobriety and look how great I've been. And, there's this mentality of just feeling defeated and not understanding why. And then you get to the other side and you're like, oh, that's why, right?
Yeah.
I get to be this guiding light and force for these other people who are now experiencing what I experience, right? I'm not alone. I'm one of many, right? But in that space, you feel like it's just you. No one else could possibly feel this way, right? No one else is feeling what I'm feeling. And then you realize, oh, I'm one of many, that are experiencing the same thing. How have you've spoken to womanhood, sisterhood a lot. Was there a transition or a phase that happened learning how to trust women fully?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I was one of those that you wouldn't trust.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, sister, uncle, cousin, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that truly is the truth about it. I had no morals and values for myself. Like, when I added alcohol to my body, I could have been friendly. I could have been fighting. I did not know what was going to happen, and neither did anybody else. Um, and so, you know, my very first mentor, I was very standoffish. And I was just like, well, you don't even look like me. Cause you know me, I'm trying to find somebody that looks like me. And she was like, no, I'm gonna need you to trust me. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I don't even trust God at this point.
Mm.
And I remember her saying, my God is big enough for the both of us. So if you just trust me, I trust in him.
Mm.
And that was such a defining moment for me because there's this woman that didn't matter what I had done in my life, that she was still willing to go to her God on my behalf.
Mm.
And I needed that. I needed someone just to be willing to go to God and be like, you know what, God, this woman's really trying. She really, really trying. She a little delulu, but she's trying, you know? Um, and I loved her for that.
Mm.
And so when other women come in and they start talking and they talk about how, you know, I just don't trust women and I've been hurt by other women. And you know what? Yeah, you probably been hurt by somebody like who I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have morals and values. And I can stand today and go, you know what? Thank God that's not who I am today.
Yeah.
But what's even more powerful is that is not who I am. It doesn't define who I am.
Mm.
I know I'm a child of God, for one, and I speak life into myself and others today. I don't try to suck it out of them. And that is who I had become.
Mm. Beautiful. I love that so much.
Yeah.
What is Kimberly today? Who is she today? Like, what is she doing?
You know, today I truly just try and show up in all parts of my life and help others. That is truly who I am today. Whether it be my career that I have in helping people in our community and just offer solution instead of running up against other things. Being in the construction world, I am in a man's world, which is kind of fun because, you know, not a lot of people know that there are a lot of things that that they can do for themselves these days. And I love just being a part of that. You know, who I am today is I'm a woman with integrity and grace, and I just truly want to show up and allow women to be who they are. I don't care what your sexual creed is. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how you speak. I don't care. What I do care is that we are one and you are allowed to be exactly who you are at this present moment. And I am going to love you unconditionally where you're at. I didn't have that. And I needed that more than anything growing up. And so just to be able to say, you know what, it's okay. Show up to the best of your ability and I'm going to meet you there. If you can show up 10%, I'll be 90. You can show up 80, I'll be the 10. I don't always have to be this big, bold, whatever. I can fluctuate and I can be a support net or I can be a hand. You know, there's a difference. You don't have to always just take the cake. And I love that today.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of the divine feminine and masculine flow, right? There's times in our life where we're being called forth to receive, and there's times where I am the one giving, right? And it's this dance, right? I lived in my wounded masculine for so long, caretaking, right? Needing to take care of everybody and having such a hard time receiving and allowing life to, you know, like move through me and for people to take care of me, right? There's something about that felt too vulnerable, right? I
Yes.
didn't trust that you were actually gonna do that, right? And I didn't trust myself in that either, to allow myself to open up in that way, you know?
Yeah. I struggle with that even still some days. Um, I'm very go-getter, let's get it done, very independent because I know that I can trust myself. But then there are those moments at night when I'm sitting alone and I'm like, maybe, just maybe I could show up in that soft girl era. And I'm like, oh no, who you kidding? No. You
Yes,
know,
you can.
no, like, just kidding.
Yes, you
But
can.
I know eventually like I'll be able to bring her out more often. Um, and it just takes time. It takes,
Mhm.
and I love the fact that friends like you and others that I do definitely call family, like you guys pour into that part of who I am and allow me to have her come out more often. Um, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful when you've stuffed her down for so long and it has been like, yeah, and I'm not trusting anybody. Um, because those moments when she does come out, like it's miraculous.
It's delicious,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
super.
It is. And I know there's this part of you that's like, "Ooh, I don't know, delicious doesn't really
Yeah,
fit."
like that's the
Um,
other word is remarkable. Like our friend Terry, she used to say that, and I was just like, there is nothing remarkable about my life. And now I'm just like, wow, how remarkable is
mhm.
our life? Like it's
We
beautiful.
get to live, yeah, we get to live many lifetimes in one life, you know? Not many people can say that. I've been 1,000 different versions of a woman, you know? And I love this version. She is learning how to drop into her divine feminine and move through the world and not need to be the one taking care of everybody. But yeah, it's a terrifying transition, you know? It requires me to trust. It requires me to trust not only whoever's in front of me, but life itself, right?
Yeah. Getting to experience life from many different um hats,
Mhm.
faces. Um, there was a poem and it was called like The Paintbrush, and it was talking about how you have to paint all these masks on. And dude, I am tired. I got
Mhm.
carpal tunnel. Like I am done.
Uh,
Um, like I am done with just being someone I'm not
mhm.
because I don't have to. Like
Mm-mm.
literally do not have to do that today.
No, it is killing people to not be who they are. The cost that we pay by not being ourselves, we are literally killing ourselves by not being who we are. Literally killing ourselves, which is why we go back into old coping strategies because there's this part of me that just wants to be who I am, that
Yeah.
just
I just
wants
want
to
to be
show
heard.
I want to
Yeah.
be heard, but I want to show up in every room of my life the same way that I do sitting in my living room by myself,
Yes.
right? And so that is my passion in life, is helping to guide people get to that point where they feel comfortable and empowered enough to do that everywhere they go. They're not having to change their masks because I did that. I did that
Mhm.
for years and most of my life, right?
Yeah.
And it was
Same.
literally making me physically ill, mentally, physically ill, right? And it's this story that we create in our minds that I'm not going to be accepted, and you know what, you might not, but at
Right.
what
I'm okay with
cost?
that today.
Right, I know, it's like, at what cost? Like, I don't even know you, why do I care?
Yeah.
You
You
know.
know, the one thing that I've learned more than anything just in this last year of just really internally searching is my body has this meter in it that I'm like, "Oh my god, it's butterflies." No, girl, that's your nervous system screaming, "Don't do it," you know?
Girl.
For so long, like, I'm just like, "I just wanna be loved, I wanna be loved correctly." I don't even know what that looks like. What do you mean loved
Mhm,
correctly? So you're just running for everything, and I joke about how, like, the red flags, I'm like the bull, like, that just
mhm, mhm,
you know? I'm sure I was a walking red flag at one point. I still have my tendencies, but, like, today, I truly want to be something different, and so when those moments of, "Ugh, that doesn't feel so hot," so I'm gonna put a little bit of space there,
mhm,
and I'm gonna go do some writing and some internal work to see what is happening there, and then I'll come back to that. I
mhm.
don't have to solve it right this moment. I'm not gonna die over it, like, none of that, because before it was, "I want it and I want it now. Me," you know, and now I'm like, "No, we're gonna sit for a minute."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, girl, and the truth is that we all want to be able to find the love and, and receive love and all these things, but we're not even coming to the table who we are, right?
Right,
And people are they're not abandoning us, they're abandoning this version that's not me, you know?
right.
They're like, "This isn't what I thought. This isn't who I thought you were,"
Yep.
you know?
Anybody can be anybody for 10, 20, 30 days, even
Yeah.
sometimes 90 days,
Yeah.
you know, and truly, um, just asking God to help me show up as my authentic self today, especially in the dating world. I used to think, "Man, you're just too much." No, no, it has nothing to do with that.
No.
God is going to protect what is his.
Yeah.
And I used to throw myself at things that were not meant for me. And
Yep.
then there would be repercussions. And then now I'm having to do a lot more healing around it. But
Mhm.
once again, I still wouldn't even change that because now there are other women that I'm going to be able to help. And I'm
Mhm.
going to be like, you know what? Me too. And they're not going to feel so alone for going back those multiple times because I can change him. Girl, I work in constructions. I am not a construction crew. We can't change people. They have to
Yep.
acknowledge and want to change themselves these days. And that's what I do. I show up for myself and I want to change daily. I want to be
Mhm.
the best version of Kim,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Kim the mom, not Kim the sister, not Kim the daughter. I want to be Kim.
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
take off all those extra duties that I have and go, you know what? This is just who I am.
Right. In every relationship, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to guess. I'm gonna be the same in every relationship when I'm with my mom, when I'm with my best friend, when I'm with my boss, when I'm with, like, yes, of course, there's things I'm not gonna share, but my essence is gonna be the same, right?
Correct. Right.
And people want to, it's like, you can't, honey, you can't find the love that you want because you're not showing up to the table who you are. So the person that's for you can't find you, you know?
Girl. And some of us are over here doing like this, even trying to find the table.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I wanna stay seated at the table once I get there. So in
Mhm.
order for me to stay seated and actually be able to be an adult and deal with those things, that comes from internal.
Mhm.
That comes from me doing that back down deep shadow yuck work and doing that internal inventory, where I can go, "You know what? That did not serve purpose in my life. Let me go on and get rid of that. How do
Mhm.
I get rid of that and make sure it doesn't come back? What do I fill that hole with?"
Yeah.
And it's service and community to others and just being of service to other people. When I get inside this head and I can spiral, um, when I get outside of myself and go, "You know what? How can I help you today?" That
Mhm.
no longer serves and controls the power in of this being because now I am being of service to someone else. And that truly is where the power comes from. And it's not a power that I want to hold. It's a power of no longer being controlled by those delusional thoughts that I thought was gonna go one way or another.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, life gets more beautiful when we can just let go of what we think, right? This idea that if I just move the pieces the way that I think they should be, that I'll be okay, and then I try to move them, and not only do I, hurt other people, piss other people off, but then I get the thing and I don't like it. I don't want it, you know?
Right.
I really think I know what's best for me. And this journey continues to show me that maybe you don't, there's something
Yeah.
so beautiful on the other side of what you think you know every time.
Yes.
If you
I'm
just,
like, God, but don't you love me? And like, I know that God belly laughs on a daily basis. I'm all like, but God,
Mhm,
I really think this could work out. And then my spiritual advisor would be like, what you think is going to be good for your life, God's got 10 times better than that.
mhm,
Why not give up this little bitty teddy bear when God's got this ginormous one and you're still holding on and just fighting and marks because you
mhm,
just don't want to let go.
mhm.
And then when I do let go, I'm like, oh man,
Why did it take so long?
I know. I'm like, whew, God must be
Yeah.
exhausted dealing with me, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say that I am fully enjoying watching you on your career path and just becoming this like badass successful woman. Tell us about that journey, where you're at, what you're doing.
Um, so I have the privilege of working with our community in modular and manufactured housing, bringing affordable housing to different places all around Texas, outside of Texas. We service just about everywhere. We've even gone overseas and you know, it's just a really neat thing that the programs that we work with now help single moms that think they can't get a house. I can help you get a house. You know what I mean? Like all of the things that the society has told us that we are just not going to get ahead in life. There are programs for everybody. And it may not the answer, thank God, the answer may be, you know what, not right now. But there are programs and things in place that we're bringing to the table to be able to help just about anybody.
Mhm.
Um, but just being a part of helping someone build a family compound or being able to, this third generation, they've never had a house of their own and they're buying a home for the first time. I know what that's like. I was able to purchase my first home all on my own. I didn't have anybody else to help. And, I thought, oh, wow, that's just such an amazing opportunity and experience. And I was able to sell that on my own too. So, like, it has just really been neat to be able to have my boss that I have now pour into me and just give me an opportunity at leading his team. Um, and trusting that, I do have people's best interests at hearts and I really truly want to see our community grow and thrive. So, it's just pretty amazing opportunity that I have. So,
Mhm. I know, I see your little commercials and I'm like, "You could girl, you look like you could be on TV for real. What are we doing here? Somebody
it's
needs to put
funny.
her on TV."
It's so funny because I like when I first started this, I started in this industry at a septic company. And so I used to joke all the time, we're number one in the number two business, and just like, having to do all those funny little jabs here and there because, like, once again, I was still hiding who I was and still trying to come into who I am. And then now I'll look at some videos of me and I'm like, God, look at you smiling on a video. Wow. Wow, how far you've come.
Mm.
And then I get to nourish and nurture that little girl inside me and go, man, I'm so proud of you. And like, I used to cringe when people be like, you need to do little girl child healing. And I'm like, I'm gonna need you to shut up with all that, because it was just so cringy to me. But I'm like, man, that's really truly where it started. Like the disappointment in myself was as a child.
Yep.
And now I get to love and nourish and nurture her and just be like, you know what? You didn't know better, but today you do. So let's go
Mhm.
out and actually
Mm.
be an example of what that looks like.
Yes.
So I truly I love my career. I love the way that it's going. The industry's doing some really awesome things. And we have the ability to customize homes now where that wasn't a thing and now it is. And so we get to customize homes from every single piece that goes into it. So
Mhm.
it's pretty awesome.
Mm, mm. Yeah, girl, I am seriously one of your cheerleaders over here, just watching you shine and watching you step into your power And, just like your boss, he saw it in you, he was like, oh, she has it, right? And trusted you to lead his team because you are amazing. And I'm honored to get to watch that journey with you. I really am.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you could go back and tell that young version of you, right, that was in so much pain, that did not see a way out, that felt trapped, what would you tell her today?
Not to believe everything you tell yourself,
Mm,
because I am about to be 45 years old and there are still days that what I told myself as a child is crippling
mm,
and it is paralyzing.
mm,
Because for a really long time I told myself you'll never be enough.
mm,
So playing the actor or feeling like an imposter on days I'm like, you know what? No, that is not even true.
yeah.
So if I could do that, that would definitely be her. And just keep your head up, man. Keep your head up. For a really long time, even when I first got sober, I would still look at the floor. Even when I was talking to somebody, and God forbid somebody try and hug me,
Mm,
like, they'd come up and try to hug me, and I mean, literally just paralyzed. And now I'm like, you know what? I embrace people. I can look them in the eye. Um,
mm,
that is when I knew that I was learning how to love myself, is when I could look another woman in the eye and be like, man, you are a beautiful creature.
mm. Yes. I love that. So it's the year of the horse,
Yep.
which is we are here to claim the power and the force behind that energy. What is what is something you are stepping into claiming, as yours this year? Mhm.
Self-love, in
Mm,
all phases of my life. Going back and just allowing myself and showing myself that self-love for that little child that didn't have it. And that piece of me, I joke about being a cat with 9 lives. Man, I've probably had 9,000 lives. And by the grace of God, I do get to sit here, because there are many people that don't and did way far less than what I did. And so going back and showing every single piece of my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, that self-love in all parts of it, I just know that this year is just going to blossom even.
mm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, girl. Well, where can people find you if they're looking for modular homes in Texas? How can they find our girl Kim?
Um, I mean, I'm on Facebook, or you can go to our website at countrylivingmodularhomes.com. Give us a call, like at 979-732-2030. I just
Infomercial,
absolutely love it. I mean, I really wasn't trying to like bring work and all that stuff into it, but like,
no,
look, seriously, I
girl,
really just
we're doing it.
absolutely love. I love what I get to do. I was very open and honest about who I was and who they were getting to hire at work. Um, in any industry these days, people have dealt with drinking or drinking in excess. I mean, look at how many faces people have to have in order to just be a boss. And then when they finally go home, they get to take off that hat. Now they got to put on this other hat for the family. Um, and I think that the world has just become accustomed to it's okay to drink because it's legal. And I'm not going to go off this deep end, but I'm like, there's so much more to life than just escaping. Today, I am truly building a life that I no longer have to run from. And I am
Mm.
so grateful for that.
Mm. I
Yeah.
think you're an incredible woman, and I'm just so honored to know you and share you and support you. So yeah, if you're looking for a modular home, that's where you find her. Go support. Amazing. We're here to empower, we're here to share, we're here to create, and I'm so thankful for your time. I'm thankful for your connection, and I adore you.
Thank you. Same. I'm very grateful to be here. Um,
Mm,
thank God we just have 24 hours.
yeah.
All I got to do. And you're never more than a phone call away, a text away. And I know the phone is so heavy for some people. Um, I just want to say, you know what? If you're still struggling and you think you're not worth it, man, don't listen to the goblins in your head. Like, I remember those goblins being so, so loud. But I promise you, if you'll pick up the phone and you'll call somebody else, you'd be very surprised that God will allow you to benefit someone else's life.
Mhm. Yes, girl. Yes, girl.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so, so much, Kim. It has been an honor and a pleasure to get to share space with you. And until next time.
Yes. Thank you.
May the cord that binds us to one another and to Source remind you that you are never alone, always guided, and always home.